Welcome to the Temple of Flame. On today, Fake Black Lights, we take a look at this. And what this is the Cackalacky pepper sauce. And usually I consider pepper sauces to be more hot sauces. In this specific case, I'm not entirely sure about that. Funny name, serious sauce. So I did aged chili peppers and the Cackalacky spices. So I did get the Cackalacky peanuts, and that was why I wanted to also get the sauce. So I thought, maybe it's meant to be a sort of hotter type sauce, and I'm not sure that's what they meant. We see that there's a lot of stuff here that normally one would use a hot sauce on. Maybe not salads, but the other stuff for sure. Very common usage for hot sauce. And let's take a look at the old ingredients. So we have chili peppers, which is almost certainly cayenne. We've got vinegar, apple cider vinegar, cornstarch, sugar, salt, and whatever the famous spices are. And there's, I'm sure, a number of different, looks like black pepper would be one of them. I'm sure there is a number of other type things in there as well. And you can see there are bits of peppers in there also. So possibly it is not a cayenne, because usually cayenne, you don't see that super frequently with cayenne sauces, but I mean, it could still be, I guess, but it could be a red jalapeno, which is also kind of common. A few different things there. I will say it's definitely a milder one, whatever it is. And we can see here, it does look like a sort of Louisiana style or a Cajun sauce. The sort of red-orange here, maybe tending towards brown in a couple areas. Little bits and pieces of stuff in there. I think it looks pretty solid. I do think this is a very good looking sauce. So let's get on into it. Very tart. And I guess that is the main thing I think of with this. There are a lot of other various spices in there, maybe a little bit of onion, garlic, possibly a coriander, something like that. The nuts I didn't find to be particularly hot either. And Cackalacky has, I believe it's North Carolina. They've got a number of different, Carolina. They've got a number of different products. And I don't know if they're necessarily trying to be particularly what we would call blazing hot or hot at all. There's no heat in this, actually. So for me, it's just more of a tangy sauce. I would call it a tangy sauce as opposed to a hot sauce, and maybe that's what they were going for. I'm not entirely sure on that. But I got here some, they were closing these out, so I got some TGI Fridays loaded Tato skins. And the only time to actually get those is when they're closing out, because those are not a good deal normally. You can get almost twice as many of these for the same money if you buy, the Kroger brand. And I don't know that these are necessarily any better. This does have a really intriguing taste to it, though. I do like the flavor of this. It just, there's no heat. And that part I can't quite get over that. One of the nice things with getting frozen loaded potato skins is they can't reasonably put them out with onions. You get them in a restaurant, you're probably going to get those stupid green onions on top. But those are going to wilt and burn if you try to put them in an air fryer, for instance. So they just wind up deleting them. Which I'm pleased about. I have had this. Let's see, I have had it on a fairly wide variety of stuff. And, you know, what they suggest, I wouldn't put it on. I mean, you could put it on wings. I don't know if I will or not. Tacos, I feel like this is way too vinegar forward for tacos. Cocktails, probably. Cocktails is a tad vague, but I mean, I guess you could put it on something like put in a Bloody Mary or whatever. Omelets, I have had it with eggs, like breakfast eggs, scrambled eggs and stuff. It was fine. I don't like my sauces on those to be like too overly vinegar. So this might be a tad over what I would like, but they were fine. Seafood again, it's a bit vague. Like fish sticks, they'd be fine. Or fish fillets, sure. Anything breaded is going to work well with this. Shrimp cocktail or scampi, I wouldn't want it. Although, to be honest, shrimp scampi I usually find to be too greasy, and I don't want to tinker with those too much. Salads, I don't know what salad you would put this in, but not for me. Pizza, it is way too liquidy for pizza. Also too vinegary for me. Barbecue. If you were trying to cut down, if you had a really rich or sweet, if you had a really rich or sweet barbecue sauce, and you wanted to dial it back a tad, it would work for that. I wouldn't put it on barbecue itself, though. Burgers, I don't like vinegary sauces particularly on burgers, so nope. Chili, I think it could be good though, and maybe like in collard greens. Put in some collard greens, that'd be good. Chili, again, it's, for me, just a bit vinegary for that. Soups, yeah. If you had a really creamy, heavy soup, cream of something, broccoli or whatever, you could, this would be nice in there. Maybe a chowder. And then it runs down to dips, and it really depends again on what kind of dip it is. I've never really been a dip fan per se, but I think some of the dairy-based ones this would be fine in. I wouldn't put it in like a bean dip. Probably not in a cheese dip, but maybe. I mean, as far as this is nice, you know, because you've got, this is actually a pretty ideal food. These loaded potato skins. You've got bland potatoes, which automatically need some sprucing up. You've got what I'm guessing is probably a cheddar cheese. Cheese, there's not going to spruce anything up. It's just going to add a lot of richness and heaviness to it. And then you've got bacon. Also, isn't going to liven anything up. Bacon is, smoky. And it's going to add that element to it, but also probably a fatty element. So you have a lot of richness in these. Richness on top of blandness. Which is why you see people trying to break it up with like green onions or whatever. This is a better choice. Rather than reaching for some of that sliced filth. You can just go with this. So, all right. Here's the big question. You know, most of the time when you get a pepper sauce or when you see pepper sauce, and there's a number of them that I've done, they're meant to be interchangeably considered along the lines of the condiments that we know generally and colloquially as hot sauces. Now, but this one, calling it a pepper sauce is really vague, I guess. We don't know what pepper or peppers are in this. So if you're going to make a pepper sauce, you would generally want to quantify it, or you'd say it's a blend of peppers, you know, that sort of a thing. But then the main thing they're talking about here is their secret Cackalacky spices. So I'm not quite sure what this is meant to be. it doesn't really highlight a pepper particularly. It is much more of a, like I said, it to me is like a, it's probably closer to like a Louisiana style, where you have either cayenne or maybe a red jalapeno, but then there's two other vinegars in here on top of everything. So I'm just not sure what the design here is, other than just trying to make a sort of vague vinegar forward table sauce, I suppose. No heat at all. I mean, it does taste fine. As long as you like vinegar forward sauces, you'll like this. It is pretty tasty. It's not super forward, thankfully, with the apple cider vinegar, which I'm pleased that it isn't. And there's enough other stuff going on kind of in the background with the different spices and stuff. Like, it is quite tasty. But if you're coming to it for heat, you're at the wrong party, because it is not here. There is no heat at all in this. But I think they meant it to be more of a hot sauce than anything else. At least that's how I'm considering it, because I did a written review. And I only do written reviews for things that, to me, are kind of positioning themselves to be in the category of a hot sauce, which I think this one is. So, yeah, definitely it's an interesting approach to a sauce in terms of flavor. But again, no real heat to it. So just kind of know that, I guess, going in, if that's up your alley, if you're looking for sort of Cajun flavors with the vinegar charge and you don't want to get, blasted out of things, this is a good one to look at. But I don't know. They've got a lot of other stuff as well. The Cackalacky company. So maybe it's all just part of one grand motif. I'm not sure. Both the things I had, the peanuts and this, I did enjoy. But again, there's no, unfortunately, there's no heat, which I found to be missing in both of them, from my perspective. But I mean, I'll finish this out. I can always use Louisiana style sauces. That's probably the sauce type I probably eat the most of in any given year, just because it's one of my favorites. And we'll just leave it right there. So that was the Cackalacky pepper sauce. Now go full in peace to serve the flame.